Hello, hello, friends. How are you doing today? Who's out there? Tell me hello as you're popping on. I would love to chat and say hi. So welcome to Tea Time with Taylor. Hopefully you remembered our new time, 10 o'clock Central, and I am so excited about today. I can't even tell you. I feel like I say this a lot, but we wait a long time for things around here, and I have been waiting for this one for months and months, and that's just part of product development. You develop something you're really excited about, you put all the finishing touches on it, which takes a lot of back and forth, changing colors, adding logos, testing and trying, and then finally it's ready for production, and then it takes probably 30 to 45 days to produce it and then ship it. And a lot of our products that we've been waiting on, some of our products come from overseas, and so that takes an extra long time. And so this one has actually been on a boat since September, I think, which means we started developing it probably about this time last year, made it through development in the summer, and then production, and then ready to ship in the fall. So it has been a long time coming, and I'm so excited to finally be able to share it with you guys. So again, say hello if you are hopping on today. And if you haven't seen any of our sneak peeks or heard anything about what is going on today, we are releasing new products for stencil storage. So stencils have kind of been the biggest craze for the last couple of years, probably since we introduced our blender brushes into the market and really made blending an easy thing for people. They have been a quick and fun way to do layering patterns, stamp and stencil combos, just regular stencils. You can add paste and glitter paste and embossing paste and all kinds of foil, all that kind of stuff, glitter grab. All of those things were designed to work with stencils. So it only makes sense that we all have a ton of stencils and we need something to store them in. So hopefully you guys are excited to see what is up with the stencil storage. Let's say hi to some people. Hello, Andrea in Ohio. Hi, Nancy. Oh, good. Rita placed her order, and you got a shipping notice. That's awesome. I know we still have some orders hanging out there for Stamp Joy, so we are planning on the ink collection that we were thinking was going to be received. Didn't get here, and so if you did order ink during our Stamp Joy period, then you may be waiting just a couple extra days than what you're used to, just so that we can get that ink in. We wanted to allow you all to buy it during the discount period, so we did put it in stock for that, but it should be arriving today, and all of those orders will get out on top of the orders for the stencil storage release. So Vicki says, yay for storage. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Anna. Hello, Deneen and Julianne. Loretta's here. Where are you at in Iowa, Loretta? Hi, Judy. Good morning. Awesome. Lisa. Mila, you got your order in today. Awesome. Bev in Lakeville, Minnesota. Rose is here from the Quad Cities. Awesome. Beth, great question to start us off. Will there be storage for quads in the future? Yes. So I just kind of explained when I first came on that we started developing this concept about this time last year, maybe March-ish of last year. And so that's how long it takes to get products through the production process, from the idea phase to the testing to the shipping, and the time for production, actually making the products. So when we designed this storage, I didn't have the idea for the quad stencils at that time. I didn't even know that this innovation was going to come out of my head, and so I didn't know to be designing storage for that. So now I am working on storage for the stencil quads, and you will see that in the future. It will not be a binder system, just to give you a heads up on that. It won't be a binder system like these, just because those are so big. I wanted to come up with a different way to store those. So yes, you will be seeing that in the future. Lisa was wondering the same thing. Hello, Christine in Cincinnati. Awesome. Susan's here from north of San Francisco. Hi, Susan. And Sally, you already got 2 orders in, and it's only 10 o'clock. Glad you like the new stencil storage. So hi, Denise and Linda. Lisa says, go Bengals. Who watched the football this weekend? Pretty crazy. I just kind of watched out of one corner of my eye while I was making dinner and getting the kids what they needed, but I did happen to see both of the games. So I'm really not a fan of any team in particular. I just like to watch good sports. So congratulations if your team won and made it to the Super Bowl. So that'll be fun. Oh, Charlie, I know your team. I'm sorry about it, girl. It was rough. Charlie's a Chiefs fan, a major Chiefs fan, and I think you were at the game, weren't you, Charlie? I thought I saw your picture on Facebook that you actually went to the Chiefs game this weekend, so I wish they could have pulled it out for you. All right, let's get into it today. So as I have alluded to, unless you're just hopping on, you know that today is our stencil storage release. So Simple Storage for Stencils was born out of my need to organize my stencils. And anyone here in our office can attest to the fact that Taylor is a messy crafter. And for months and months and months, I've had stencils just everywhere, like strewn across the floor of my office, and some of them are washed, some of them are not washed, and some of them are organized and some of them aren't. So it was time to get something in my craft room to organize all the stencils. And one of the issues that I was having as stencils have evolved, many different sizes have come out. As you know, Tailored Expressions is known for the mini slim size. It is a size that we designed probably a year and a half ago, released with some really innovative products for creating mini slim trifold cards, but that also introduced the mini slim stencil, which does not fit in traditional 6x6 storage sleeves. And so we also had to come up with storage for mini slim. So let's get down into, Lisa says, yay for messy crafters, we're a different breed. Are we? How many of you guys are messy crafters? Am I alone in this? Raise your hand or put up a heart if you are a messy crafter, because I feel like I need my people. I need my people today. I am not a neat crafter, but I do have a lot of neat crafters around me that help me develop this storage and tweak it, and now I know it's going to be easy to keep up for a messy crafter like me. That's what I like. Nothing too complicated, something that's quick and easy, because I know if it's complicated, I won't keep up with it. So, all right, Christine says, messy crafters unite. Let's talk about it. Okay, I'm gonna get all my stuff in order here so I can see all my messy crafters who are commenting. And you know what? If you are not a messy crafter, that's okay. This is still for you, because if you're not a messy crafter, you may have a system that you currently use to store your stencils, but maybe it's not working, or maybe you need something more robust or something that your collection can grow with. And I think that this is all of those things. So it starts with a simple sleeve. So we have our stencil storage sleeves. You can see they have been on a boat in probably some form of heat for a while. So the outside packaging, it is a little bit rippled, but as soon as I pull these out, you'll see that the sleeves themselves are in perfect condition there. We have our mini slim stencil sleeves, and we have our 6x6 stencil sleeves. So each pack comes with 20 sleeves. I'm gonna pull one off of the top of the pack here so you guys can see them. I designed these out of a different material than typical for a scrapbooking storage sleeve. So typically you would see I have one here actually so that you can see the comparison. So typically a scrapbook storage sleeve is quite thin. It is completely see-through, which I don't mind having it see-through, and I did make sure that you can easily see through these stencil storage sleeves. But the thing that I like about these is the feeling. The stencil glides in and out very easily from this pouch, and it is a really nice it feels very soft. It doesn't stick together. A lot of times the very clear sleeves, you know, when you have them in a book together and you go to peel those pages and turn the pages, they can kind of have that, they want to stick together, I guess. So this is a very soft, high quality, thick material to store each of your stencils. You can store them in multiple different ways. Some people will cut a piece of cardstock and slip that in and then have the stencil on front and back. So then you can see each design on each side of the cardstock insert. So that's going to allow you to get more out of your each sleeve, more storage, since you can store 2 stencils back to back in one sleeve with that cardstock insert. Let's see, where was I going with that? Sorry, I got to looking back at all my messy crafters. Okay, so yes, you can store it in different ways. I would recommend, if you like to leave the pixie spray on the back of your stencils, having that cardstock insert in between your page protector and your stencil sleeve and your stencil is going to help that pixie spray not to stick to the stencil sleeve itself. So if you do like to leave your pixie spray on and not necessarily wash it off every time, I am one of those, so I will be putting a cardstock insert in between mine just to make sure that that stencil doesn't stick to the storage sleeve. All right, so that is the mini slim size, and then we have the 6x6 size. And as I mentioned, there are 20 in each of the packages. So let's talk about what are you supposed to do with these sleeves once you have your stencils in them. Well, we have a couple of different options. One of them is a binder. You can see this binder is a very thick plastic material. It has this elastic band to keep your stencils closed around. So if you want to travel with them, your binders aren't kind of flopping all over the place. And this will stretch out as your stencil collection expands. The elastic does stretch enough to get this completely open, so like this. So as you get more stencils in there, your binder is going to get thicker. I would not recommend putting so much in here that it makes your covers kind of dome, I guess. You want to stop when you get to the top edge of that D-ring that's inside the stencil. So we said on here, each binder is designed to hold up to 40 simple storage sleeves. So that is just kind of an average number, a generic number. So it kind of depends on a lot of things. So as you know, many of our stencils are layering. So if you're storing a layering stencil with 4 layers in one sleeve, that is obviously going to affect how many sleeves you can store in one binder. So the 40 is sort of an average number based on storing both layering stencils, masking stencils, and regular 1-layer stencils. So I do have a binder where I have probably 55 single layer stencils in it, so you can fit more. It also is dependent on whether you're putting that cardstock piece in between, whether you're storing front and back. So the 40 is just kind of a guideline to get you started. You should be able to store at least 40 and sometimes more in each binder. So let me open it up here and I'll show you. We have those D rings that just open up really easily. There's no click bar that you need to push down to open those. You just open and close with your fingers. And then we have some of those stencils inside the sleeves. You can see it slips easily in and out, and you can see that pattern really nicely. Now, if you struggle with telling what the design is based on it being kind of when it's in your book and it's up against all the other designs, that's where that cardstock piece is really going to help you see exactly what your stencil design is. So if you even take the packaging file that we designed for you, you could cut off this fold over flap, and then you could use that to insert into your binder with the stencil itself. And that will help draw out that pattern so you can see it a little bit better. All right. Oh, thank you, Jamie. Let's see. Jenny says, I was worried the paper fibers will stick to the stencil and defeat the purpose of leaving the spray on. I must have missed a question earlier because I'm not sure what that, hopefully you got that question answered. Yes, and Jamie pointed out that the label on the front peels off easily and doesn't leave any residue. So if you ever need to change that, it does take a little bit of peeling off. Maybe Jamie's just better at this than I am, because mine is leaving some residue behind, but it is one of those things that you can clean with. It's a material that can be cleaned with a Goo Gone or something like that if you are trying to get them off and change them around. Now, one other thing I did want to mention, because we did do this on purpose, as you guys know, we have offered these sleeves from American Crafts for several years now for storing your stencils. And I know that not all of us are going to want to just throw these away. They can still be used for storage, and we made sure that our 6x6 binder D-rings would also fit the rings of these page protectors. In case you've been using these and you just want to switch these over to the new binder, you can do that as well. But I am partial to this material that we are using for our stencil sleeves. So if you want to switch over your whole collection, you can do that. We will no longer be carrying the 6x6 version from American Crafts now that we have our own Tailored Expressions sleeve. I should mention too, you can see that it is etched in the top here with the Tailored Expressions company name right up there. And then let me show you guys. So this was just kind of a sample that I put together quickly for the live today. I don't have a ton of stencils in here, but let me show you the mini slim version as well. So here it is, looks exactly the same on the inside. Why don't we take and put some of those stencils into the storage? Here's what I want to show you guys also. So we have those mini slim sleeves and our 6x6 sleeves, and you'll see that they have that little dot here that's kind of stuck into the material. It's super easy to pop out, and I'll just be really upfront with you guys. So they were going to charge us quite a bit of money to pop these out, and I was thinking, as a crafter and as myself, I don't mind poking these out. It was going to save quite a bit of cost, and I wanted to not have to pass on that extra cost to you guys. So we made the decision to have those little dots kind of stay. You can see this one's poked out and this one is not, but they are die cut already. So even with your finger, it's really easy to just poke them out and then stick them into your binder. But I did want to show you an easy way to do multiple. So I took about half the stack of the mini slim sleeves and a die pick, and I'm just going to take and make sure they're all at the same level. Take my die pick and poke it. I'm going to get down closer so you guys can see here. Okay, so I'm going to take my die pick and poke it in here and just hold it down in place as I kind of peel the rest of these stencil layers around it. And then you can see that the whole lot of it pops out the bottom. And then that's how you can do them all easily at one time. So it won't take you long, and I thought the extra savings was totally worth it. So there you have that. Let's put them in our binder then. I'll get you guys moved back out here. Now somebody is going to come up with something super creative to do with these. Maybe you can dye them with like Copic reinkers, and then these are little shaker confetti bits. I don't know. Some crafter, not me, is going to find out something fun to do with all those. Julianne says we're good pokers, so we can do that. Yes. Okay, good. Let's get them put into the binder now. And they just slip really easily in there. And I do have a few, don't I have a few stencils here? Thought I did. Well, I know I have this guy because we're going to use him later on, so I can just slide that into. The first time you open the sleeve, I like to just, put my hand into it, and then we can slide that stencil in just like that. There we have it, the mini slim version. Now, I know that not all of us will want a binder system. Some of us may have been using this system that we have carried in our store for a long time. So this is our desktop stencil storage. It comes unfinished. It is sanded and ready to accept a coat of paint. Here is mine that I painted, and of course painted it teal. And it has those two binder rings at the top that you can use to hang your stencil. Let me see if I can grab one here. So you can hang your stencil sleeves from the binder holes. And then this just sits upright and you can flip through your stencil collection really easily. I think it was maybe last year about this time, Heather did a video on how to paint and store your stencils in this desktop system. So you can see they just hang from the top there. You can fit quite a lot of them in there. I would say 50 or more in the binder ring. We have since updated the size of our binder ring. We made it a little bit bigger, 1/4 of an inch larger. You don't want to make it too much larger or the stencil sleeve will drag along the bottom here, but we made those binder rings as large as we could to accommodate as many stencils as possible. So there is that. Mindy asked if we'll be doing something similar for regular slim lines. We do not have plans to do that since I don't believe we'll be carrying regular slimline stencils ourselves, so ours will just be the mini slim storage. Good question. Okay, so here we go. We now have, for those of you who want to store your mini slim stencils on a desktop storage stand, we have this version that you can put your mini slim sleeves in. It's a little taller and a little bit thinner, just like the mini slim stencil. And you can decorate as you choose and flip those designs around so you can see them. Debbie asked, can we order just the new rings? I bet if you contact our customer support, they could help you with that. We don't have it as an available item on the website, but if you wanted to replace your binder rings, we can either give you the size of them and you can head to the office supply store, or we may be able to work out a way for you to purchase just the rings. Okay, so there are our storage options. We have the stencil storage stand and we have the binders. What do you guys think? Which one is going to win your vote for your own stencil storage? I did say on my video today that I actually like the idea of using both of them, and I've been using the stencil storage stand, so I have switched over my most used stencils. Or one idea that I had is stencils that I haven't used yet could go in my desktop stand so they kind of stay in my memory. Like I want to use these before they get put away into the binder. But I just have way too many stencils to store on these desktop stands, so I will be moving the majority of my collection to the binders and then either most used or haven't used yet in my desktop storage stand. Let's see. Susan wants the binders. Heather's going to use both. Awesome. Deb, you like the mini slim stand. Good. Lolly asked how many sleeves will the binder hold, and we do say on the front of the binder that they'll hold up to 40, but that is dependent. I think they can hold more. It's a little dependent on whether you're storing one layer stencils or multi-layers in one sleeve. Depends if you're going to insert a piece of cardstock so you can see it better. But I think 40 is a really good number to start with, but I do think you could store more if you're storing just one layer, no cardstock. I'd say up to 50 in a packet or in a binder is what would fit. So this is a 1.5 inch binder, in case that information wasn't shared already. I can't remember if I said that. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting all the questions. Deneen says you have 2 stands and you're going to get binders too. Awesome. Belinda's doing binders. Awesome. Mindy's going to test the amount it can hold. I can believe you have a lot of stencils, Mindy. Let's see, are the sleeves interchangeable? Yes, they are. You can use them in the stand or the binder. Good questions. Yes, you're welcome, Candy. Try to think of everything, right? Awesome, awesome. Okay. Oh, thank you, Jamie. Okay, so I misunderstood what Jamie was saying. She said these labels come off of the sleeves really well. They don't. Actually, as I was peeling them up, if you decide to label, it does leave a residue behind, but you can easily clean it. But Jamie reminded me that yes, I did try to think of everything, and this label on the front, look at how easily it's going to come off with no residue. Ta-da! So yes, when I say we try to think of everything, that is something that I specifically had to ask for, or they wouldn't have done that. It's an easily removable sticker, so you don't have to clean off those little bits of yuck that stay behind. So I'll do the mini slim one too, just because I need to. So thank you for reminding me or clarifying what you were saying, because yes, I did make that specific request. That is one of my pet peeves when I get something new from the store and I want to take the label off, and then I spend 10 minutes cleaning off all the gunk left behind from the label. So hooray for making that an easy process. All right, there is one more thing that I haven't talked about yet that is a new product. Well, that's not true. There's one more storage item that I haven't talked about yet, and that is the new Label It stencil storage stickers. So we have a set of these every year around this time. We release a set of label stickers for all of the stencils that were released in the previous year. So this is our Label It 2021. We also have 2020 and 2019, and that would encompass all of our stencil collections. So if you don't have any labels for your stencils, then you'll want to grab all 3 sets. I do have, let's see here. So I do have one of my stencils here. Why don't we find a sleeve for it? And we'll just label it together. So this is the Festive Fur stencil. Oops, let's get to the right side of my stencil pouch. Now this is where you would need to, if you're planning to label them, you'd probably want to make a decision as to whether you are going to store them in the binder, which flips this direction, so your label would go down here, or if you're going to store them in the desktop system, then your binder clips are going to be at the top and they'll be hanging like this. So your stencil would need to go in this way and your label going that direction. I mean, you can put it at the top or the bottom, whatever makes more sense for you. But you do have sort of have to decide on a direction for your stencil and your label. So this is called Festive Fur. We'll grab that label. We can stick it right down here at the bottom. Put it in my binder. And I have a little bit more organizing to do myself, so mine is not complete. I've got my roundabout that I stuck in the binder here, or in the clips for the stand, so we'll put that one back in. So there we go. So these are only the stencils that were released in the last year come in this 2021 layering stencil set, or label set, Label It stencil set. Okay, I gotta get my words. All right. We will have more of those 2020s. We will get those, Linda. She says they're out of stock. That is something we just print here at our print shop, so shouldn't be too long. Let's go with the next things. Man, Louise is going to be on my case because I am taking way too long today. So we're going to fly through these. These are the new stencils that are releasing today because we have new stencil storage. So makes sense to put out some new stencil designs. This one is called Flickering. If you were at Stamp Joy this fall, this was an exclusive at the Stamp Joy event, so you might want to check your collection to see if you already have that one. This is the only stencil that has been previously available to a group of customers, so all the others are brand new. The next one is one of my personal favorites. This is the leopard print design, and I am a fan of leopard print. You guys, I probably have a collection of shirts and sweaters that I love wearing leopard print, and so I wanted to make a card that was something that reminded me of leopard print in fashion. So I stenciled the leopard in black over the toffee cardstock, and then I used my Copic to color in the middles to kind of highlight that leopard print, and then also added the white gel pen highlights as well. We have the black glossy sentiment and the black glossy cardstock, and this is a card that screams Taylor. If you have ever seen, I guess, the things that I wear, it looks like me, and that was what I envisioned when this stencil was being designed, was something along those lines. But we do have tons of critters that this would look cute with, and I know the design team made some really cute cards with that as well. Next up, we have the 6x6 braided stencil, so kind of an interlocking braided design. This card by Emily Midlowski has the 3 different color blends with the happy, happy, happy birthday on it. A really fun generic pattern that works for lots of occasions. Now this next one is something we haven't done before. I couldn't believe we didn't have a lacy pattern. So this one is called Chantilly, like Chantilly lace. Heather used it on this beautiful gel press card, so it's a little bit more subtle on that one. And then this is pretty subtle too, but gorgeous. So Susan made this card with glitter grab and foiled with opal foil over that stenciled portion. Really pretty wedding card. If you guys could see this in person, it just sparkles and shines and has so much iridescence. I love it. Okay, so that was Chantilly. That's it for the 6x6 stencils, and the rest of the stencils are mini slim. Jenny's asking, do the mini slim sleeves fit in the 6x6 binders? I think they're going to hang over the edge, but they do fit. They do fit this way. Yes, they fit in there, and they might not even hang over the edge. So depending on, once I get it in there, I think it should sit right about here. So you might have a little bit of an overhang on the side of that binder, but the binder rings match up in both of the different binders. So good question. Let's see, did we have more questions? The Happy Stamp and Die, Teresa, that is on the block Happy, and the coordinating die is called the same, on the block Happy. This one from Emily Midlowski, she used some glitter paste through the stencil, the iridescent glitter paste, with the new Mini Slim Title stencil. Now you might recognize this design. We do have one in the 6x6. It's called, Charlie, help me out. What's that one called? Because my brain just went, I don't know. But we do have a similar pattern that is super popular in the 6x6, and I wanted something that would also fit on the Mini Slim card. So if you have 6x6 stencils and you've used or tried to use those with Mini Slim, you know that it does not reach the full length of the card, and so that's why we are bringing out some of our most popular patterns in the Mini Slim size as well. All right, let's go with this one next. So this one is called Mini Slim Trellis, and Susan used it to create this card. I love how she used the embossing pad kit. It's hard to see, but if you were here to touch it, let me just tell you that part of that design is raised because she put it back through with the embossing pad kit and used the stencil similarly to an embossing folder to create a raised design, and then she blended over the top. So super pretty. I love that one. I think she used plum punch, guava, and pineapple for that blend. Next up we have, I have to remind myself of the name every time, Mini Slim Prism. So this one is a fun design that reminded me of a little bit of a kaleidoscope or a prism. And okay, thank you, Jenny. Go with the Flow was the 6x6 version of that title, the new title. We did name them differently just because we didn't want to create confusion for order pulling and such, but it is the same pattern, just in a longer version that works for Mini Slim. All right, this is You're Officially a Grumpy Old Man. Cheers, birthday boy. I thought that was super cute. Emily Midlowski made that one, and I love the blend that she got across this card as well. So that was Mini Slim Trellis. And then last but not least, something a little bit more unique. So we haven't done a ton of imagery stencils like this. This is Mini Slim Twiglet. So kind of like a small twig or a small pig, like Piglet, but Twiglet instead. So this one is called Mini Slim Twiglet, and Heather designed this beautiful card using that stencil and her gel press. And I'm actually going to use this stencil to talk through the next few minutes we're going to create together. So before I do that though, I feel like I'm talking so fast because I'm watching the minutes tick by like crazy. Okay, so it is February 1st, which means a new 100 plus freebie just launched today. So if you're placing your order today and you reach over $100, this is the item you're going to get for free. And it is a stamp with a coordinating die. So you get both the stamp and the die for that Get the Word Out Hello. It has so many uses. I love making hello cards because I can use them all the time for any reason. Sometimes I even put hello on the front and then I write thank you on the inside. It's just a good way to send an all occasion, works anytime card. So that is Get the Word Out Hello. You can see a couple samples here, and we might have different samples up on our website as well. I've got to get these in the fan page because I know everybody always wants inspiration for using that new, the new freebie. So there it is. Let's see. Oh, sorry, Teresa, you were asking about the Happy on the Leopard print. That one is Get the Word Out Happy. So kind of the same collection as the freebie. This one is Get the Word Out Hello, and that one is Get the Word Out Happy and has a coordinating die as well. So let's get my stuff here so we can create a little bit with whatever time we have left. So one of the things I wanted to share with you guys, when we were designing that Twiglet stencil, one of the things that I knew for sure I wanted to do with it is called stencil shifting. And I've talked about that before on a live video. We've gone through some of our existing stencils and talked about how you can shift them to create different looks and patterns and with different colors. So we are going to do a very simple stencil shift with the Mini Slim Twiglet. And now that I have thrown everything everywhere, you can give a girl some organization, but can you make her less messy? I don't think that's possible. Okay, I remember I put it in here so I could show you guys what that looked like. I may be messy, but I always know where things are at. Well, I can't say always, most of the time. I did have to text Susan this morning and say, hey, where was that stencil that we were using? I couldn't find my Mini Slim Twiglet stencil. All right, so my first step with this stencil, because it is a long stem down the center, you can see it has quite a bit of give there. So you'll want to be careful when you use this one, especially careful when you wash it. If you catch any of these pokey ends, you can even end up bending your stencil. So when you wash it, leave it flat and kind of rub gently over the top after you spray it with, I spray mine with Stamper Spritz. But also when you're using it to ink blend, you will need to make sure you add Pixie Spray on the back. Otherwise, these pieces that kind of pop out will shift around on you while you are stenciling. So I'm going to shake this up and then strip dies will be back in stock soon. I don't have an exact date. I wish I did. Usually our turnarounds are about 2 to 3 weeks on our die reorders. All right, so I'm gonna grab this and put this kind of right here, almost in the middle. I'm going to need to be careful because I do have a little bit of exposed cardstock over here, so I want to make sure that I don't get too crazy. I've got my green blender brush and I chose cilantro ink. So we're actually only going to use one ink color on this project. And I'm going to start by applying, not too dark. I try to stay a little bit lighter handed, but definitely want to see those leaves on this first piece that we blend. Thanks to the pixie spray, it's staying put. All right. I love it when I get started on this part. Well, I'm not sure I love it, but whenever I get started on this part, you guys all go silent. We're all talking and chatting and asking questions, and then Taylor starts crafting and it's like silence. I don't know if that's on purpose or maybe you just don't want to distract me. Okay, so there we have our first layer, and I'm going to do actually just a touch more here, get it just a little bit darker. All right, now we're going to pull that up from the paper. Just like that, really pretty. Now I'm going to shift my stencil. I'm going to move it over here, kind of overlap it with the last version. This time I do need to be very careful down here at the bottom, so I'm just going to put my fingers down there. If you had some post-it labeling tape or masking paper that you wanted to put over that, you could do that as well. So here I have not re-inked anything. I am just blending over the top of that stencil using the ink that I had left in my brush and the ink that's left over on my stencil, and blending that into the paper to get a little bit lighter version of the green that we put down first. And now we're going to do it one more time. So there you can see kind of a pretty shadowed effect there. Now I'm going to place that over here. There's really not a huge rhyme or reason as to where I am putting these. Actually, maybe I'll go up or down. I don't want to get it exactly the same as the last one. Okay, we'll go there. And now, again, I'm going to press this down to make sure that my pixie spray is sticking. And I have not re-inked. So once again, I am using whatever ink is left on my brush. This is kind of a fun test to see how much you can get out of one inking. I think a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this too, I think I need to re-ink all the time. And we don't. So as long as you start with kind of a dark enough color and you get a good amount of ink on your brush and your stencil, you can continue to get beautiful versions of that same color and just shift your stencil around to create this really pretty leafy backdrop. That was super easy, right? Okay, so now I want to add a little bit of detail to those leaves. So I brought you guys in here to see this step. This is YG 17, and I'm just going to flick some detail onto this darkest center leafy vine. We talked about flicking in my last live video with the Copic coloring, so I'm using Copic YG 17. You could even use a little bit darker one because you can see that the YG 17 is pretty close in color to the cilantro that I already added to the card. You You could even do this with white gel pen or just something to give it a little bit of extra oomph. And we talked about last time too that flicking is something that takes practice. So don't be afraid to get on your placemat or scratch paper. Even just draw yourself a little leaf and flick up from the base of it, just to test it out. Everybody has a preferred direction. Some of us are upward flickers, some of us are downward flickers. Some of you might flick side to side. Whatever is more comfortable to you. You want to rotate your paper so that you're always flicking in the direction that's most comfortable and natural. So you're not trying to do it in all different directions. We can see that I am mostly a downward flicker. Okay, so now that we have that, let's stamp a sentiment on it. I'm going to go with sympathy because I think this would make a beautiful sympathy card. You could even do it in many different colors. I know leaves aren't purple, but I think purple would be really pretty. Yes, I just said purple would be pretty, even though I'm not a huge fan of purple. All right, so I'm going to go with this sentiment with sympathy from the Field Notes stamp set. Place that right about here. And then you can see, oh, I got to bring you guys out again. So you can see it's not straight on here, so I do need to take that and kind of shift it so that my sentiment is straight on that grid line. You can also use your Misty Clear alignment panels. And if I had used my Misty Clear alignment panels, I probably would have chosen a little bit different spot for that sentiment because it's kind of stamped right over the top of my darkest part of my leaves. But no matter, we are going to keep going. I'm bring in my die cut machine here, and we are going to use one of my favorites. This is from our set of diagonal stitched rectangle stacklets. So I'm using the largest one, and I'll just position that over the top of this, kind of centering the stitches on there. So this actually isn't going to cut anything off of my paper. It's just going to cut a design into my paper, which is going to add a little bit of interest to the panel without adding a lot of extra work or no extra layers for that matter. Okay, my cutting pads are super dirty. So a lot of times I have to get my adhesive square remover, or sometimes if I'm really smart, I will put a piece of typing paper over the top of my panel so that the cutting plate, all the gunk from the cutting plate doesn't push into my cardstock. A couple tips there. All right, so now we're gonna do a little bit of splatter because I like splatter. Here we go, I'll hold it up so you guys can see what that did around the outside, that stitching detail. I'm going to use my Gonzai Tombies. So these are different, this is really pretty like sparkly silver type of iridescent, maybe pearl is a better word for that. And then you have various golds in that set. So I've got my round paintbrush here and just some clean water. I think we're going to try we're going to go over here to the blue gold, like that one. So you just get the cake wet enough to have enough on your brush to splatter with. And I do know these are coming back in stock soon as well. We've got another bunch on the way because they've been popular too. All right, so then I'll grab my panel here and we will just splat, splat, splatter away. And I can hold that up to the screen so you can see a little better too. Those gold splatters just add that little bit of extra detail that you need in a card that's super simple. But you don't want to go too crazy, especially with a sympathy card. So that is one easy thing you can add for a little bit of punch without going super crazy. So that was the blue gold splatters. And now I think those are going to have to dry a little bit. So I'm going to bring in the card that I kind of had going ahead of the video. So here's where I was going with this. I have a few of the, again, I just talked about how we don't want to go too crazy with the bling on a sympathy card, but I thought a few of the iridescent rhinestones would bring this together really nicely. So I'll get out my little tool here. This is my favorite way to apply embellishments like this. So I've got my Embelly Jelly Pick and Place tool. Once I get those gems set down right where I like them, then I can just pick them up, add the drop of glue, and set them back down again. This one was turned over backwards, so that doesn't work very well. This one. So this panel that I'm working on now already has the splatters dry while my other one is wet. The other thing that I added was, this one's upside down too. So the other thing that I added was a little bit of burlap twine, kind of draws in the gold, and I plan to use this with a toffee card base. So I wanted something to draw the toffee together, so I grabbed that burlap twine. We'll take our toffee card base here. And pretty sure, yes I did, I brought over some foam tape. So we'll put a few pieces of foam on the back of this and we're gonna call it good. Simple and beautiful, awesome, that's what I was going for. Thank you, Karen. Are there any plans to have storage binders for the quad stencils? I talked about that a little bit early on in the video, so if you missed that, I can recap. There will be a storage solution for the quad stencils. I did not have a binder in mind for those. I am working on something else for those quad stencils. Okay. There we go. Fuss with my bow. I could fuss with bows forever. They never quite lay exactly how I have them pictured in my head, but good enough. And then I think once we're done with this card, my other one will be dry and I can add my little burlap bow and rhinestones and have a couple of sympathy cards ready to go. So there it is, stencil shifting. You guys gonna try this? I hope so. Try it with some of your other stencil designs, and you don't even have to shift a ton. You can shift just slightly and get a tiny little shadow on your stencil. There are so many different ways you can shift, so maybe we need to make a whole live out of that topic, but it is a super fun way to kind of get different patterns and different looks from the supplies you already have. All right, let's see here. Let's say farewell for today. I did want to show you guys something. So, okay, so this is my love of leopard goes beyond my clothing and also to my accessories. So I've got my leopard printed, it's not a Yeti, but you know, similar to the stainless steel water bottles. Yes, love this thing. And it's leopard print, so Thank you guys so much for tuning in today, for checking out our new stencil storage release and our new stencils and all the goodies at Tailored Expressions. Always feel free to reach out if you have any more questions or anything that didn't get answered in the live video. Our support team, both Charlie on Facebook and Bailey and Amy over on the customer service side, are awesome and always willing to help. So I will not see you on Thursday because Heather is doing the live from her house in Minnesota, but you guys be ready to tune in on Thursday for Heather's live at 10 o'clock, and I will see you next week, Tuesday. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.